Some people spend their teenage years preparing for a life. Our guest decided to enter it early. Before we stepping onto a college campus, she's already worked inside a red light districts, helped reform how rural children's functions influence policing conversation, and build systems that directly impact over 20,000 women and children. She is an incoming freshman at Stanford University, a global youth leader, a national top 5 Kathak dancer, and someone who refused to wait for the right age to matter. This episode isn't about potential, it's about early responsibility, a real stakes, and choosing discomfort on purpose. Joining us today is someone who proves that credibility doesn't come from age, it comes from evidence. This is Anika Mathur. Anika, it's good to have you here.
Hi, it's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Before we get into a Stanford policies and all work you're doing, I want to rewind a bit. Take us back to your childhood for a moment. What was it like growing up, and what was the first moment you realized your life wasn't going to follow a normal path?
I don't think there was a particular moment where I knew that I wasn't going to follow a normal path. I think I am uh, living a life like any other person, in fact. And just generally, I think when you talk about childhood and an upbringing, my parents have played a huge role in shaping my values and the kind of person that I am. So I think the fact that they've always let me make my own decisions from the very beginning and given me the freedom to um, do whatever, but within my own boundaries, how they've made me a person of my own. And have, I think just the kind of values that they've instilled in me has played a huge role in everything.
All right. So, take us through your journey of getting into a Stanford University from deciding to apply to receiving the acceptance.
Yeah, for sure. I think initially, while deciding to apply, I was really hesitant because, for those of you who don't know, Stanford is actually a need aware institution for international students. What that means is that if you're an international student from any other country except the US, and if you're asking for financial assistance, it significantly reduces your chances of getting into the college. Which is why I was hesitant to apply because I was in need of financial aid. But other than that fact that I'd always wanted to go to Stanford, and obviously because of various reasons, including the fact that they really emphasize on interdisciplinary education, means that they really value if you have multiple interests and you know how to pursue them and how to find your grounding within those interests. Um, and also their emphasis on the arts. Stanford really values their art portfolios, and overall, they lay a lot of emphasis in this field as well. And being a
Mhm.
dancer, I was automatically very drawn to that. Then, just their faculty, their opportunities, its proximity to the Silicon Valley, its focus on AI policy, all of these factors really drew me towards the university and naturally led me to apply there as well. Again, when I received the acceptance, I was very, very shocked. Like anyone who gets into Stanford, no one can expect it. No one can really like think that this will ever happen. It's just like a dream. So I was not able to process it for a good 3 to 4 days. I was zoned out. So yeah, it was a very surreal feeling to get the acceptance. I don't think I've still processed it very well.
Cool. So, how did you balance academics, extracurriculars, ACEs, recommendations, and the overall application process while applying abroad?
I think it's a mix of a lot of things. Obviously, it takes a village to do anything like this. You know, it takes a lot of people around you. It takes the right kind of support system. And I honestly can't lay more emphasis on the kind of people that you surround yourself with, be it your friends, be it your parents, your teachers, all of them. I think all of these three pillars have been very, very instrumental into my journey here, like to Stanford. So even especially when it comes to balancing so many things. In fact, my parents had made a separate WhatsApp group just for the college application process so that I have all my tasks in check. So I think that plays a huge role. And it's also a lot of like doing what you like doing. and not getting into the rat race pressure, trying to avoid repeating other people's successful applications, and finding your own interests, finding your own bunch of things that really make you wake up every day. So it's a mix of both of these things, I think. And I also feel like just having a nice timetable that helps you keep your day in check, and just waking up in the morning and making a to-do list that, this is what I have to complete every day, that also helps you keep track of things. I did that on notes on my laptop itself, and I just knew whatever I had to do like on one day, and then I knew what tasks to do the other day. So that just made sure that, like, backward planning basically helped me ensure that I get all my tasks done eventually.
All right, got it. So your profile is very impact driven. So how did you represent your extracurricular work so it showed a deep and authenticity, not just an achievements?
Um, so I actually began working on my activities list very early on, very naturally. Actually, it wasn't key. Oh, I have to do this for college applications. It was very organic, and I think in ninth and tenth, I was doing bits of things that I really like dance, debate, and all of that, and exploring a lot. And then by 11th, I started planning things out on paper. That's just something that really helped me in terms of activities. That, okay, I really like this. So what can I do to sort of solidify this and show depth in this field? So from like participating in debates and MUNs in ninth and tenth, to judging debates in MU1s in 11th and 12th. Like a small example, that's what it's like. So just I started like actually actively planning that out on paper. And when it comes to actually writing the common activity list, I made sure that I was like very, very honest in everything. Whatever numbers I wrote, whatever everything that I wrote in my activities list had a proof, which was also attached in my additional information section. So everything was linked, everything was had like proof. Then I was also very like uh, very honest. Like if something had failed in my projects, I wrote that as well. Like for instance, one of my activities was this pet cremation campaign that I had started in eighth grade, and I'm
Mhm.
still continuing it actually. So that it was basically about how India, tier two cities in India, they don't necessarily have cremation centers for animals. And being a pet owner myself, it's something that genuinely really, really concerned me, because in my city, Jaipur, there's nothing like that. So, but however, we've not been able to secure a land grant for that since like 3 to 4 years now. So I wrote that in my activities, like, struggling to secure land grants.
Mhm.
So I think things like that just convey that you're not trying to be someone you're not, and you're being very honest in your activities.
All right. As an Indian student, so how did you secure a 100% scholarship to a Stanford? And what should students really understand about the financial aid process?
Yes, I think the financial aid process can definitely get very confusing for students applying to these universities. But colleges in the US are purely like they don't give merit scholarships. Most of them, at least places like Stanford, Harvard, and all of these places, they give you need based financial aid. And certain schools are need blind, certain schools are need aware. Need aware institutions, your chances of admission reduce as an international student if you're applying for aid, and it's the vice versa in need blind institutions. And Stanford being a need aware institution, I had to fill an entire CSS application form, which I think you can find information about that online as well. And you have to fill in your parents' income, basically all the financial information that will show the university how much financial aid do you require, and how much can they give you. Basically, like they sort of make that decision based on the CSS application form. A lot of other colleges have other financial aid applications as well. Like I know that Princeton has a specific application for that,
Okay.
but a lot of colleges follow the CSS itself. So you fill that, and then the university evaluates your need based on that, and they award you aid as per that. So that's what I did as well. Like I'd filled all my information through the CSS. I submitted that with my application, and I got my aid award as well, like along with my application result. And yeah, that's sort
Oh,
of how it works.
all right, got it. So, What is the one part of the study abroad application journey that students completely underestimate?
Um, I think probably the importance of reflection and the importance of essays as a whole. While applying to colleges, I think everyone is so consumed in crafting the best possible activities list or crafting the best possible honors list that they often forget that portraying who you are very honestly is way more important than any of that. Your story, who you are, is way more important than like reaching 20,000 people. So I think that distinction and that realization is something that a lot of people underestimate often.
Okay. So for Indian students, like who is dreaming of getting into a Stanford, what should they start doing early that most people ignore?
Probably exploring as much as you can. Like, I personally started exploring my interests very early on. Like, I think from middle school itself, like dancing, art, skating, sport, like everything. I've done a class of something of like probably everything once in my life. And by ninth grade, I knew that these are the things that I actually like doing, and this is what I don't like doing. So I knew what to focus on from like high school, and I knew what to show depth on from high school. So just exploring your interests and exploring early on. That's very important.
Okay, got it. So, if an Indian student feels they are not good enough or don't come from privilege, what advice would you give them about applying to a Stanford or any other top B schools?
Um, I don't think there's anyone who's not good enough to at least try. It's better to give it a shot than to regret it later or than to doubt yourself. So I would say that um, everyone's honestly equal in the eyes of the admissions officers, and you should definitely give it a shot. If you have the merit for it, you will get there. You might have to work a little harder than some people. It might take you a little bit more of effort, a little more of grinding, a little more of like late nights, but you will get there if it's meant for you and if you're meant for that place. Yeah.
Okay, so let's come on your founder journey about Adhikar. What was the moment that pushed you to start Adhikar and not just as an idea but as a real work on the ground?
So actually it happened. I was going to this village nearby, near Jaipur, uh, for another project of mine. So I was involved with this organization called Innoveel, and we were going for like surveying the place for cervical cancer vaccinations. And one of the women in the villages, we were having like a cup of tea at her place, and she told me about how she runs an Anganwadi and how her Anganwadi is the only Anganwadi in the entire village that had not been adopted for whatever reasons. And that's where I actually found out about the whole process of adopting an Anganwadi and how that goes about and why is it so important and what happens to the Anganwadis which are not adopted. And what actually happens is that they stay in really, really terrible conditions. There is no electricity, no water supply, nothing. That's where I found out about all of that. And that's where I sort of decided to, if that Anganwadi is not adopted, why not just take it under us? Anyone can take it under themselves and work on them, help people. So that meeting is sort of what ignited the idea of this, and that led to Adhikar.
All right, cool. So, working with closely with women and childrens, what is one reality you saw through Adhikar that completely changed how you look towards a society or a policy?
So for those of you who don't know what Adhikar is, it's actually an initiative to revamp Anganwadis, which is to legally take them under us and renovate them, revamp them, support like right from infrastructure to day-to-day support. It's basically taking care of the Anganwadis and ensuring that the women and children who seek services, as in seek education and healthcare from the Anganwadi, uh, get it in a good form and in a respectful way. And working closely with women and children, the one reality that I've actually uh, seen through Adhikar that completely changed how I look at society and policy is certainly the fact that there are so many policies which are made and formulated, but very few of them are actually implemented. There are millions of Anganwadis which are quite literally like a rock, like there is nothing in them. It's just a piece of rock you can see across in such bad conditions. And it
Right.
is it is legally and politically speaking, it is actually the responsibility of the government to take care of them, to ensure that they're in proper conditions. But funds not being allocated properly, funds not being allocated where they're supposed to be allocated, inefficiency in so many different forms just leads to the policy not being implemented. So I still have a lot of faith in policy and governance, but I do believe that the implementation aspect of it has to really be strengthened. So I've always looked at policy in a very similar way as I look after as well. But I've just been very, very motivated ever since this experience that I've had with Adhikar to really work on the implementation side of policy.
All right. What has been the hardest part of building and running Adhikar at such a young age?
I think it's definitely the trust of people. Uh, as much as I believe that age is a very positive factor, that you're able to persuade a lot of people uh your age, like I'm able to hit a chord with children so easily because I'm younger. At the same time, it's very difficult to get for example companies to trust you with CSR funding, or for government officials to believe that you're actually serious about the work that you're doing. So the hardest part is definitely securing funds, because people don't want to. The very few people who actually want to give funds to a cause like this, or to any cause, as a matter of fact. And being a young person, it's difficult to convince people that what you're doing is serious. So yeah, that's going to be it for sure.
All right. So moving towards your art and identity about Kathak, how did you Kathak first enter your life, and what does it mean to you beyond competitions and rankings?
So I actually come from a family of dancers. My mom is a dancer, my nani was a dancer, and everyone in my family has some bit of dancing in them, some bit of art in them. So my mom and my mama, actually, even my mama's a dancer. So both of them have like really, I've been dancing in sangeets and all of that ever since I was a little kid. And I joined dance classes very early on. Like my mom put me into Kathak very early on in life. So I think just it was very organic. Just the fact that it's been passed on, down in my family. It just automatically it became something that I was good at as well, and something that I really really enjoyed. So that's how my journey into Kathak sort of began, and that is how it entered my life. And it's genuinely like breathing for me beyond competitions and rankings. Like I feel my most alive self, my most present self when I'm dancing, especially classical dance. So it's very, very close to my heart.
Mhm. And has there been a moment where a Kathak gave you a strength or clarity when your social work felt emotionally heavy towards you?
Um, For sure, I think it's very important to maintain a balance between everything, and sometimes social work can get very, very challenging. You can feel very like disappointed, very confused, and in those times you need something to ground. You need something to like really ground you and to keep you level-headed, which is where Kathak and dancing generally has played a huge role. Like whenever I'm dancing, I feel very like everything's okay in the world. That's how I feel when I'm dancing. So it's definitely contributed to my calmness.
All right. So when you look back years from now, what do you hope Adhikar and your work leave behind?
Um, I'm not honestly chasing quantity. I'm genuinely chasing quality. So I hope that whatever I do, even if I can make a difference in one person's life, I hope that people remember me with a smile on their face and people remember the work that I've done with a smile on their face.
So if someone is listening and feels inspired but overwhelmed, what is the first small step you advised believe they should take on?
I think to like for being grateful and counting the blessings that you have around you, that'll really ground you, to know that you're in a better position than a lot of people and that you're already doing what you can, you're already doing your best. Firstly that, and then secondly not doubting yourself too much. Like, you'll do what you have to, you'll get wherever you have to get, but just take it slow, take it as it comes, and have faith.
All right. Thanks, Anika. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey with us. From building Adhikar to balancing a Kathak to stepping into the next chapter at Stanford University, we truly wish you the very best of everything ahead. The learning, the challenges, and the impact you are going to create. To everyone listening, we hope this conversation gave you a clarity and motivation for your own journey. Thank you for turning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely to chat with you, and I wish everyone the best of luck.